Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Wow, what a presentation. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make my contribution. And I want to say this year, I will take the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to speak about my constituency first. Because my constituents have been telling me, look, they are not hearing I'm talking a lot about what's happening in the constituency of Babonneau. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that for the past 4 years, with the support of my cabinet and the Prime Minister, and of course with the support of my constituents, a lot has been accomplished. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, a lot more will be accomplished when I would win the elections next year and return to represent the people of Babonneau. The reason why I'm saying that, Mr. Speaker, is because those on the other side going around telling people from Babonneau that I am not running again. Let me make it clear here today. Let me make it clear today that I am running the Babonneau seat as long as the people of Babonneau agree for me to run the Babonneau seat. Mr. Speaker, I have no problems with the opposition walking through the constituency. I have no problems with the leader of the opposition meeting with people in my constituency on a Saturday afternoon. I will not drive around, Mr. Speaker, and follow the leader of the opposition in my constituency, as we've seen done in other constituencies when the Prime Minister goes around, especially in Vifort, in Dennery North. I will not do that, Mr. Speaker. I'll tell my people to entertain him, question him, and find out from him what is it that they have planned for Babonneau. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately he's not there. He has no plans. All he's saying, I can make commitments. I can make commitments. I'm not one of the politicians making commitments. But Mr. Speaker, if you want to represent this country, you must have a vision. You must have a plan. You can't go to the people and tell the people you have no plans. You have no plans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I heard the member from Castries East, Mr. Speaker, when he presented, and I'm quoting him, Mr. Speaker, we will not allow you to put your hands in the electoral process. We will not allow you to do this. Mr. Speaker, I ask the question.
If you're afraid, why are you afraid of so?
Why would the member from Castries East make that announcement, Mr. Speaker? And I'm asking that question, Mr. Speaker, because I have had the experience. I've had the experience, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure Minister Mortud can speak to it too. We have had the experience where they put their hands in the electoral process. In 2000, and I'm going to prove it, in 2011, Mr. Speaker, they put their hands in the electoral process. So if you can come now and say you will not allow us to do it, we're not doing it. You have the experience of doing it. Because it's 2011, Mr. Speaker, Babonneau won by 68 votes the night of elections. Babonneau won by 68 votes. What happened, Mr. Speaker, the member that ran against me, Ms. Alvina Reynolds, asked for a recount. And two days afterwards, Mr. Speaker, of the recount, Babono lost by 2 votes. We won by 68 votes the night of elections. 2 days afterwards, Mr. Speaker, Babono lost by 2 votes, which means 70 votes had to come, be transferred to good votes. That's the math, Mr. Speaker. 70 votes had to be converted to good. Rejected ballots had to be converted to good votes. Rejected ballots went down by 34 votes, Mr. Speaker. Rejected ballots went down by 34 votes. These are the facts. And if you give Ms. Reynolds all the 34 votes, and that's not what happened, because I got some of the rejected ballots, and she got some. Where the other 36 votes came from? I know that I was told, Mr. Speaker, I know that I was told by Mr. Lacobinia when I said I want a final count. You know what I was told by Mr. Lacobinia? Mr. Joseph, you ran a good campaign. You ran a clean campaign, and that's true. I'm not one of those who go on a platform and deny great people. I'll speak about the issues, and that is true. But I want to warn you, there's nothing as a final count. The only recourse that you have is to go to the courts. And I want to advise you, Mr. Joseph, that you'll hear that case in 2020. You'll hear that case in 2020.
Mr. Speaker,
because
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member is imputing improper motives on members on the other side. But more than that, Mr. Speaker, as presiding officer, this is a very damning indictment of the Electoral Commission of St. Lucia and the electoral officers who oversee elections in St. Lucia to suggest, Mr. Speaker, that votes were added overnight, Mr. Speaker, because he says he lost by 68, and I listened to him carefully. The following day he lost by 2, which means 70 votes, but only 34 called ballots were less. That means somebody put in 36 votes. An honourable member is up in this house, we've all provided evidence, Mr. Speaker, suggesting that the Electoral Commission of St. Lucia stole the seat from him through electoral manipulation and an electoral offense, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious... It is.
Honorable.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members. Honorable.
And I think, Mr. Speaker, you should ask the honorable member to withdraw those comments for his attack on the integrity of the Electoral Commission and the Chief Electoral Officer.
Honorable member. Honorable member. Honorable member. Honorable. I would say to you, I have listened and I allowed you to make your presentation because you were referring to or making reference to what the leader of the opposition said.
That's right.
So I have no issue with that. He has not gone, in my view, want to cast aspersions on any member sitting around the table. That's one. Secondly, I don't think the Honorable Member Babono has crossed that line for me to so believe that he has said what you indicated that he may have said. Because in the same maths, it would mean that the 46 votes may very well have been in the recount. The 46 votes may very well have been improperly counted votes. So, Honorable Member Babono, I will say to you, I have noted what you said. Be so careful, sir, that you don't cast aspersions on the integrity on our bodies, that constitutional bodies that we have on our constitution. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not doing that, honestly. I'm not doing that, Mr. Speaker. I'm just making reference to what the leader of the opposition said, that he would not allow us to do it. And since I had the experience, Mr. Speaker, of winning on the night of elections and losing 2 days afterwards, I was just asking the question, Mr. Speaker, why is it that he would have made a statement like that? He would not allow us to do it. Is it that he have had the experience of doing it? And of course, Mr. Speaker, if you remember at Mr. Deteville's funeral, it was said in the eulogy. But Mr. Speaker, let's move on. Mr. Speaker, let's move on. I want to say it's 2020. Today is 2020. This year, we're in 2020, Mr. Speaker. And the case will again be heard in 2021 in Babonneau. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I heard the member from Castries East speaking to 4 wasted years. 4 wasted years, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I ask myself, what is he referring to when he speaks about 4 wasted years? Because, Mr. Speaker, the records are showing that this United Workers' Party, under the leadership of Honorable Alan Shastney, member from Miku South, has performed for the past 4 years. Has performed over the 4 years, Mr. Speaker. And the records are there to show, Mr. Speaker, Economic and Social Review of 2019, page 57, Mr. Speaker, is showing, page 57, and that's, you have to quote what you're talking about. I'll come to you in a while. Sorry. I thought you were coming to something, but you leave it from the member for them enough, but I'll tell it to me in a while too. Mr. Speaker, the records are showing that under the leadership of Honorable Alan Shastney, Mr. Speaker, we have performed. So when the member is saying that we have wasted 4 years, Mr. Speaker, the labor force and employment records are showing that we are doing something good. Our policies are bearing fruits, Mr. Speaker, and that is the reality on the ground, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, as it pertains to Babonneau, I must say that the years between 2011 and 2016 were wasted years. Wasted years, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you'll allow me, because I'm hearing that projects they finish, they are the ones who do it, and projects we found there, they are the ones who started it. So I'm asking myself, how would I be able to speak to the commitments that I gave, Mr. Speaker, in 2011, Mr. Speaker, when, unfortunately, this mishap happened. Mr. Speaker, I made some commitments in 2011, and I want to go through it. And that's a document of the House, because it has been brought to the House by other people. So it's a document of the House. I made some commitments in 2011, Mr. Speaker, under sports and culture. I said that if I was re-elected, of course I was re-elected, but after 2 days something happened, I would have finished the multipurpose court at Union Terrace. I'd already started that multipurpose court, Mr. Speaker. I would have finished it. I would have finished the construction of the multipurpose court at Timon and Kako, Mr. Speaker. I would construct community halls at Union Terrace, Timon, Kako, and Lakwa. I will continue improving lighting on our major playing fields. And I will construct a new playing field at Bogus and Gara, Mr. Speaker. And of course, continue with the sporting activities that we are having in Babonneau. Under infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, I said I would have upgraded the Lager health center to a level 2 health center. I will construct a new fire station. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'm hearing that they are the ones, they're taking claim for the fire station. That's okay. That's okay. I open it. I open it, Mr. Speaker. I'll construct a new school at Lage. That's a commitment I gave in 2011, Mr. Speaker. I'll construct a new wing of the Forester Primary School. And I'll continue the improvement of our community roads throughout Babonneau, Mr. Speaker.
And declare all.
Mr. Speaker, again, I continue with social programs, because you not only look at infrastructure, you have to look at the social programs and the economic programs.
All their projects.
And what I would have done, as far as a home for the elderly, continue our youth development program, and launch and strengthen our young people in self-esteem, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what happened between 2011 to 2016, Mr. Speaker? The multipurpose court that has started in Union Terrace, the Minister of Youth and Sport never continued it. The then Minister of Youth and Sport never continued it. The multipurpose court that started in Timon, the Minister of Youth and Sport to the parliamentary representative never continued it. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of order. And the minister or the member for Babonneau has said this previously, and I've had to correct him. I challenge him to provide any documentation to show that the projects that he mentioned, in particular the Timon and Union Courts, that there was ever document in the Ministry of Youth Development reflecting any such projects. He undertook those projects when he had his Taiwanese allocation. That the ministry had absolutely no jurisdiction over these two projects. And those were CDP projects executed at the time in the ministry where the CDP funds were being administered and were being accounted for. Those were never projects in the remit of the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports.
Honorable member, you
Mr. Speaker, can I continue?
take note of, so you do not...
I take note of his what you
Very
said, Mr. Speaker. But I'll come to what he did. I'll come to it. All right. Mr. Speaker, of course, the Lage Health Center to a level 2 was done after 3 years in representing the people of Babonneau. The fire station started 4 years afterwards, Mr. Speaker. The new school for Lage, and I've been speaking about that, Mr. Speaker, and I've been told by my colleague, Minister, member for Niku North, that we are going to start the school this year. And the people of Lage will get a new school. Because I'm sure those of us in this honorable house remember, Mr. Speaker, when I spoke about a new school for Lage, the leader of the opposition said that Lage does not need a new school. Leader of opposition qui voulait Prime Ministre cette ici. Dit ces gens Babonneau, ces gens Lage, ils n'ont pas besoin d'une école neuve. Et bien, tu as oublié le Prime Minister, but not even He was there. He said it. He said it.
Order, Mr. Speaker.
You know?
The member for Cassius has never said such, and you need to quote him correctly. Mr. Speaker, this is misleading the House. You're asking us, Mr. Speaker, to provide evidence. The member from Cassius did not say that. Go and get the Hansard and show us exactly where it was said if he said it. Quote Hansard on what page it was said. Quote the Hansard where it was said. I can speak for him because he's not in the House. Mr. Speaker, we ought not to allow aspersions be cast against members who are not in the House.
Honorable members, honorable members,
Whose fault is not?
member Babonneau, I'm going to ask you to take note of the statement being made. I know you're a seasoned member, so you know how to conduct yourself.
No problem, Mr. Speaker. I will go through Hansard and I'll put the page in Hansard when he said it in this honorable house, Mr. Speaker, that his government did not see the need to build a new school in Lage. He said it, Mr. Speaker. So I don't know what he's talking about. So, Mr. Speaker, I must say,
As usual.
Mr. Speaker, that a lot has been done in Babono. And quickly, Mr. Speaker, let me run through what we have done in Babono.
You have a vehicle, you don't know whose vehicle that day. You think you know what done with your vehicle.
Mr. Speaker, in the Balata Timon area, we have resurfaced the Balata Court. Wasn't that a project under you? We have resurfaced the Ferry Road. We have constructed a new road going into Setut, inside Ferry. We have done the Saltfish Road in Balata. We have assisted in improving the surface, the road in Texaco Heights. Mr. Speaker, we have upgraded the Timon Court. That's reform. Nothing substantial is done about it, Mr. Speaker. And of course, the Balata lights. You know nothing about that too, member for Denrinoff? The Balata lights that were supposed to come on in December of 2011. It finally came on in December of 2016, Mr. Speaker. 5 years. 5 years, Mr. Speaker. They did nothing with the Balata lights. You know what happened? RAT took it over. I had to go and look for resources to refurbish the lights and redo the field. Right? No? We put on the lights in Balata. And of course, Mr. Speaker, we were able to refurbish the Timon Road. Mr. Speaker, completely refurbish the Timon Road. Mr. Speaker, in Kabish, we expanded the inner road in Kabish, Mr. Speaker, and we built a number of retaining walls and make provisions for at least controlling water in the Kabish area. In Kakojiwa, Mr. Speaker, we construct drains, we made roads, we constructed a new road, we made footpaths, we constructed the Ramonas Road in Kabish, Mr. Speaker. In Hill 20, Babono, Mr. Speaker, we extended the water supply, we ran new pipes, Mr. Speaker, and of course we improved the water system in Hill 20 in Babono, Mr. Speaker. In Lakwa, Ghana, Mr. Speaker, we refurbished the Ghana IT Center. We acquired 2 acres of land, Mr. Speaker, in Ghana to expand the Ghana Cemetery, because we have 3 cemeteries in Babono, the Babono Cemetery Central and Fouansa. These cemeteries are, Mr. Speaker, is overpopulated, as you would, Mr. Speaker, and we had to look for a new area, so we had lands in Ghana, we purchased land in Ghana, Mr. Speaker. We extended the cemetery in Ghana, we fenced it, Mr. Speaker, we built toilets, we built a little chapel, Mr. Speaker, and a little shed for people to go in there, if it's raining, when they are burying their loved ones, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in Lakwa, Ghana again, just before elections, a piece of land I acquired when I made a commitment to build a field in Resina, in Ghana. They hurriedly ran and tried to do some work in Ghana, Mr. Speaker, in Resina. You know nothing about that? Remember then enough? You know, it would be a swimming pool, Mr. Speaker. Since I came back, I have done what is necessary to make sure that the young people in Resina has a place to recreate, Mr. Speaker. Now the challenge is, Mr. Speaker, the footballers are saying they don't want a cricket pitch on it. The cricketers are saying they want a pitch on the field. So I'm meeting them over the weekend to try and thrash this thing out once and for all, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that is what we call proper representation. Mr. Speaker, I can continue. Blue Cock, we did what I call it Blue Cock Road. That's how one of the gentlemen living there. In fact, he has been I'm requesting that support. We've resurfaced the Blue Cock Road in Ghana, Mr. Speaker. And of course, we did a number of footpaths by the Bisset residents and other residents in Ghana, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker of Pebush Lager, we construct the Mata Road, we construct the Blind Man Road in Chickenback Street, Mr. Speaker. We rehabilitated the Lager playing field. I'm just going to say about the Lager playing field. Again, Mr. Speaker, the Lager field, first for Babono and first for this country. The Lager field, Mr. Speaker, was the first field in a rural community in St. Lucia with lights on it. The first field, Mr. Speaker. When I came back in, Mr. Speaker, the lights were disconnected, the lights were not functioning, high electricity bill. I had to get $35,000 to pay Lucia, Mr. Speaker. and of course to get resources to refurbish the light and to redo the lager field, Mr. Speaker. The member from Beaufort North, from Denry North, knows nothing about that. Mr. Speaker, now I'll speak to other things, but let me move on. You know, the Speaker, we also were able to refurbish the lager field, put sitting accommodation on the lager field, Mr. Speaker, and we're going to do much more on the lager field, Mr. Speaker. For our Tishime, we refurbished the Tishime Road, Mr. Speaker. We refurbished the plain area for the preschool, and I want to say here today, Mr. Speaker, before the reopening of school, with the support of the Skyride in Chasse, we are getting equipment to furnish the plain area, swings and little things for the children to recreate. So I want to express my appreciation to Skyride, Mr. Speaker, and the leadership of the CEO. Mr. Speaker, Debara, of course, water tanks and the Debara field was taken care of. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that some of the major projects accomplished in Babono, one would be the improving of the water system in Babono, Mr. Speaker. This is when you drive through Babono, you went through Garon, you go through Lakwa, people have a lot of tanks and drums behind the house because they have to collect water because of the infrequency of water, Mr. Speaker. Babono is called the land of water, and they have that Hill 20 treatment plant there. Now, people of Babono can boast that they get a reliable supply of water, Mr. Speaker. Yeah. And I want to thank, of course, the Wasco, people at Wasco for understanding and appreciating that. Mr. Speaker, I want to continue. Of course, we opened the fire station. And Mr. Speaker, we speak about laptops. Speak about laptops, Mr. Speaker. Between 2006 and 2011, I started a laptop program in Babono. And I saw that's where they got the idea from when it came in 2011. My laptop program was, Mr. Speaker, every child in Babono Primary School, every top child over 70, that scored over 75 marks, will get a laptop as a gift. And the most outstanding school in Babono would get a laptop as a gift. I started that program in 2008. I want to say since coming back to the Speaker, I've continued that program and I will continue. So, my students in Babono understand and they appreciate what we are doing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, since we came back, apart from putting floodlights or improving the floodlights on the Lager and Baraka field, Mr. Speaker, I have been able to do some work on the François field, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, very interesting, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the amount of money that was spent on the François field, Mr. Speaker, over $700,000. Member for Denry North, over $700,000 was spent on the François field, and nothing to show for it. Nothing. There's a contract, Mr. Speaker, in December 2013 of $462,475.30 to improve the surface of the François field, Mr. Speaker. There's another contract, Mr. Speaker, of $226,418 to build a change room. $226, Mr. Speaker, $226,418 to build a change room. Almost $700,000 spent on the François playing field. And nothing to show for it, Mr. Speaker. Nothing. I had to get resources, Mr. Speaker. And if I had these resources, Mr. Speaker, I wonder I would have been Miracles. Mr. Speaker, I've spent $497,000. And let me tell you where the amount of work I have done with that $497,000, Mr. Speaker. I was able to get Mr. Crafton to resurface the François field for me for $40,000. They paid 400 and something, 400, how much, Mr. Speaker, I said? 462,000 to resurface the François field. No, 462,000, Mr. Speaker, to resurface the François field. I was able to get Mr. Crafton to do it for me for $40,000. $40,000, Mr. Speaker. I was able to put lights on the François field for $360,000. They had an allocation, they had a budget, Mr. Speaker. They had a project proposal to put lights on the François field, Mr. Speaker, for almost $600,000. Almost $600,000 to put lights on the François playing field. I got it done for $360,000, Mr. Speaker. Of course, I spoke about the Barata field. I had to get resources to refurbish the Barata field, Mr. Speaker. And of course, to pay for the lights, the outstanding bill for Lager, and to do some work on the Lager field, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, when you heard about wasting of resources, and you want to blame and you want to compare our achievements with what you all have achieved, you want to compare this, Mr. Speaker? There's no room to compare, Mr. Speaker. You can't compare them. Mr. Speaker, for 2000, I will not speak about 2021. In fact, I will not speak about my next term. In 2021, I'll give an indication as to what is it I'm going to do when we get re-elected as a government. But Mr. Speaker, let me tell you what is it that we are going to do in this financial year, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have signed 4 contracts for roads. The Savannah Hole Road has started. The Paybush Gap to Monsitor via Lager Road, the contract has been signed and work has started, Mr. Speaker. The Paybush Gap to Monsitor via Plateau, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say I gave a commitment to a young individual who said to me that he would give me support if I could commit resurfacing that road. And I want to say today that I have delivered on that commitment, Mr. Speaker. We are going to resurface and improve the condition of the Paybush Gap to Monsitor via Plateau. The Jiwa Road, Mr. Speaker, is going to be given some serious attention. And Mr. Speaker, in Debawa, Mr. Speaker, the road by the Debawa School going to Mr. Donald's place is going to be given some attention, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, but there are a number of other roads that we have to look at. Of course, from Lakwa to Gara, we have to look at that road, Mr. Speaker, and also from Hill 20 to Chasse. But Mr. Speaker, what's the pressure I'm getting right now as Minister for Agriculture with the roads, or what you call our farm roads, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I remember writing to every parliamentarian, and that's how we operate on this side. We involve every parliamentarian. In fact, I can say for the Ministry of Agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture involved every parliamentarian. And we had an estimate of about 100 million EC dollars to do roads throughout the length and breadth of St. Lucia. And the Prime Minister had committed 50 million from a loan from, of course, the government and people of Taiwan. But Mr. Speaker, since the COVID, the Prime Minister has since decided that we have to repurpose the loan. And unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the agricultural feeder route program cannot continue as it was planned. Mr. Speaker, of course, I can say that we approach Caribbean Development Bank, and of course, the members in the opposite, through the Ministry of Infrastructure, under the leadership of the member from Beaufort North, had some engagement with Caribbean Development Bank as it pertains to agricultural feeder roads, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, when we did an assessment of these roads, they are not agricultural feeder roads. The majority of them are not agricultural feeder roads, Mr. Speaker. They are what called community roads. And Mr. Speaker, you know what happened? 80% of them, 80% of the roads identified were in Beaufort North. Speaker, I want to tell my farmers that I'm looking for resources to do some of the agricultural feeder roads. For example, the Chassin to Maki, the Canal, Lanfon, Kako, Jira to Ghana to Bogus, Bogus to Maki Estate, Kakoli, Debara to Louvet. We're looking for resources to do some of these routes. I want to say today, Mr. Speaker, we're not in a position to do all this financial year, but of course we will start some, Mr. Speaker. That's how we operate. We're going to start some so people can see something is happening in the constituency, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I have the fullest confidence that the programs that I have articulated will be accomplished, and with the help of the Minister of Finance, and of course with the help of my cabinet colleagues and the technical people, we will be able to do as much as is possible, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I heard a lot about non-performance on this side. And, of course, legacy. Where is your legacy? Asking my Prime Minister, where is his legacy? Mr. Speaker, the legacy of the United Workers' Party is well written and well reported in the Economic and Social Review. Unemployment going down, growth in the economy, Mr. Speaker, despite the fact that we are meeting all these challenges. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask those on the opposite. What is the legacy of the St. Lucia Labour Party? I want to ask those on the opposite, Mr. Speaker. Let him sit. I want him to sit. I want to ask those on the opposite, Mr. Speaker. What is the legacy of the member from Castries East? According to him, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister in waiting. Mr. Speaker, if you have to do an assessment, an evaluation, Mr. Speaker, I come into my legacy and your legacy now. If you have to do an assessment, Mr. Speaker, of the two individuals, the member from Beaufort, from Miku South, Mr. Speaker, the member from Miku South, Mr. Speaker, and now our Prime Minister and our leader, and the member from Castries East, Mr. Speaker, leader of the opposition, and he was Deputy Prime Minister for how many years? Let's do an analysis, Mr. Speaker. Let's do an analysis, Mr. Speaker. Of course, Mr. Speaker, you heard the member from Castries East came here and said, look, you're trying to make me lose the election by closing a toilet. You're trying to make me lose the election by closing a park. That's your legacy? After 15 years in government, I'm not even talking about 25 years representing the people of Castries East. After 15 years in government, that is your legacy? You know? Oh, when the people have running belly, they have nowhere to go, running belly. That's your legacy, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, if you compare the legacy of the member from Miku South, when he was Minister of Tourism, Mr. Speaker. Let's compare the two of them. I can compare the member from Castries East as Minister of Tourism, and I can compare the member from Miku South as Minister of Tourism. Let's compare the two of them, Mr. Speaker. Let's compare the two of them. You know what happened, Mr. Speaker? After a year and a half, they fired him as Minister of Tourism. You know? After he was there for a year or 2 years, they fired him as Minister of Tourism because the Prime Minister at the time had no confidence in him as Minister of Tourism. So what's the legacy talking about? What legacy talking about? What's the legacy, Mr. Speaker? You know? Mr. Speaker, I want to say that there was charcoal, tax of charcoal, and a means of raising revenue. That's revenue. $10 for some is revenue. I'm ashamed of you, member from Miku, from Beaufort North. I'm ashamed of you. You know, I'm ashamed of you, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, let me move on to, because I know time is, and I need to speak about my ministry, Mr. Speaker. Are the farmers better off today? Are the farmers better off today, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, the question is simply yes.
Honorable members.
The answer to that question, Mr. Speaker, is simply yes. The farmers of St. Lucia are better today. The farmers of St. Lucia are always better when the United Workers' Party is governing this country. You know, I heard he went, in fact, Mr. Speaker, he started well, you know, giving a history lesson. What George Charles did, what this one did, what that one did. I wanted him to tell us what you have done. What you have done. Don't come and give us a history lesson. I want you to tell us what you have done when you were Minister of Agriculture between the years 2011 and 2016. What you have done, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Here's his legacy, Mr. Speaker. Here's his legacy. He came in front of a well laid out FAD program, a fish agri device program. He failed it, Mr. Speaker. He gets the meat processing facility, Mr. Speaker, 90% complete. The abattoir I speak about, he got it 90% complete. In fact, Mr. Speaker, in the 2012 budget estimate, they are factoring it to cost $13 million. You know what it went to, Mr. Speaker? From 2012 to 2016, $22 million. That is your legacy. And it still wasn't open. It still wasn't open, Mr. Speaker. That's your legacy. You formed a youth in agricultural program. You formed a youth in agricultural program with $3.5 million grant funding from Caribbean Development Fund. Where the money gone? Where the program? We have to come in now and see what we can do to finish that program. Thanks to my member from Castle East, using the land that was, Castle Central, sorry, using the land that was identified for the youth in agricultural program.
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker. On a point of order, Mr. Speaker. The member is misleading the House. The member said that they left a youth in agriculture program where the money go, listen to that, serious allegations, where the money gone, where the program gone. The youth in agriculture program was, when he came into office, the youth in agriculture program was still there. When he says where the money gone, where the program gone, is he suggesting that the money went somewhere else? I want him to prove that, Mr. Speaker. Prove it. The youth in agriculture program was there. And I want the member for Babuno and the Minister for Agriculture to tell the House that there was no youth in agriculture program when he became minister. I want him to say so today. If he's correct, say so. Because he's misleading the House. Because I have the letters and the documents.
Honorable member.
Say it. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
Honorable member.
You're
misleading the House.
What does he want me to say?
You're misleading the House.
There's no youth in agriculture program. That's what you want me to say?
That's what you said.
So you formed a youth in agricultural program, Mr. Speaker, with $3.2 million grant funding.
Mr. Speaker, on a point of order, Mr. Speaker, on a point of order, I will not let the member escape with this. It's too important to the public servants who work hard on this program. The member for Babuno said that when he came into office in 2016, when he left in there was a youth in agriculture program, $3.5 million. And when he came, he asked where the money gone, where the program gone. I want the member to withdraw that because when he became minister, the youth in agriculture program was active. So he's misleading the House and misleading the country. I want the member to withdraw this statement because he's misleading the House. You said where the money gone? What are you trying to insinuate? Where the program gone? You are misleading the House. I will not allow it. And I will not stop until you do that.
Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, I did not hear. I asked a question. I asked a question. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm continuing on youth in agriculture program. When you came in, Mr. Speaker, your legacy we're talking about now, because you're about legacy. Your legacy coming. I'll come to you by nothing just now. I'll come to you just now. Your legacy coming this now. When you came in, Mr. Speaker, you formed a program under the BAM of $60 million allocated to St. Lucia. When you sang it in 2013, it went down to $30 million. Why? You know why, Mr. Speaker? Because banana production went down under him. So your allocation from 60...
Mr. Speaker, once again, the member is misleading the House. The changes in the amounts for the BAM pressure? No. Your government is one of troops. Mr. Speaker, the changes in the amounts for the banana accompanying measures were largely because of the changes in the value of the pound. And I wish Mr. Compton and these others who manage this program are listening to this minister. The changes are not because of reductions. The value of the pound decreased. Mr. Speaker, this minister is misleading the House. That's the same minister who praised me for the implementation of the BAM in the last session.
Honorable member.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, so we are hearing that... Oh, sorry, Mr. Speaker.
I'm not sure if you choose your words deliberately. I'm not sure if you choose your word deliberately, or you say it in a manner to get reaction from the member opposite. But please do not in any way mislead the Honorable House.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not misleading the House, Mr. Speaker, I'm not misleading the House. Because he just confirmed, Mr. Speaker, that he got $60 million, but because the value of the pound went down, it went from 60 to 30. That's what he confirmed, Mr. Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker, he said, so Mr. Speaker, the question is, the value of the pound went down by 50%? The value of the pound went down by 50%? So, yes, I praise you, Mr. Speaker, and I give praise where praise is due. I praise you because, Mr. Speaker, part of the program was to have a lab. And it was my intention, and the intention of my ministry, to have the lab in Roseau. And he changed the location of the lab from Roseau to Union. And I think it was a very good decision, Mr. Speaker. He did. I praise him. But he was not the one who conceptualized the lab. The lab was part of the program. And he just agreed that, Mr. Speaker, because the value of the pound went down by 50%, that is why it moved from 60 million to 30 million. So the question is, did the value of the pound went down by 50%? Mr. Speaker, I continue, Mr. Speaker, legacy. Legacy, Mr. Speaker. He found 3 agro-processing facilities. What happened to them? 3. He found we started restructuring the Central Marketing Board. What happened to it? And I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, we took that decision to restructure the Central Marketing Board. Right now, we can boast that the St. Lucia Marketing Board is standing on its own. We can boast that, Mr. Speaker. The government will have to pump any money in the St. Lucia Marketing Board, Mr. Speaker. We can boast about that, Mr. Speaker. He found, Mr. Speaker, at the new facility,
Mr. Speaker, the member is misleading the House. You see, because I have the documents, Mr. Speaker. I want to prove. Okay, Mr. Speaker, he said that I found 3 agro-processing facilities. What happened to them? Let me read what happened. Let me read. He's misleading the House by trying to indicate that those 3 agro-processing facilities, he doesn't know what happened to them, Mr. Speaker. That's misleading the House.
Are you confirming that they were free agro-processing plants?
In fact, Mr. Speaker, there were dilapidated agro-processing plants, and he said what happened to them, as if they disappeared.
Honorable Member, may I suggest that, I know time is a factor, but may I suggest that you take note of, I'm not going to tell you which one, but take note of standing order, and you will do what ought to be done. Honorable Minister, continue.
Mr. Speaker, if I can continue, Mr. Speaker. I hope you are set up again. Mr. Speaker, he found a brilliant program at Boseju with imported pigs, Mr. Speaker, at Boseju. What happened? Your legacy. Your legacy. I just asked a question. What happened? What happened? The Speaker, are the farmers better off? Of course the farmers are better off, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the records, Mr. Speaker, of banana export on page 107, you're afraid to quote pages. In fact, last time he said, I will come back to you and I'll show you the figures and I'll tell you how badly you did. But he just came at Mr. Speaker and just throwing figures all over the place. Let's look at page 107. I'm guiding you to page 107. You know? I've told you so before. There are a lot of things you have to tell us. You're telling us. There are a lot of things you have to tell us. You're telling us. I've told you so before. You know? You know? Page 107, Mr. Speaker. Let him read page 107 and let us have a discussion on page 107 when he's ready, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as far as incentive, Mr. Speaker, let me give you records, Mr. Speaker. As farmers not better off? Let me give you the figures, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 2015, Mr. Speaker, our worst year in issuing FARs was better than your 4 years. In 2015, Mr. Speaker, we issued 13 FAR vehicles. Is not an indication, Mr. Speaker, that farmers are doing better off? In 2016, Mr. Speaker, it moved from 13 in 2015, Mr. Speaker. In 2016, it went to 29 farmers bought new vehicles, Mr. Speaker. 29. Moved from 2015, 13. In 2016, 29 farmers bought new vehicles, Mr. Speaker. In 2017, Mr. Speaker, FARs. In 2017, Mr. Speaker, 48 farmers bought new vehicles. Isn't that an indication, Mr. Speaker, that farmers are doing better? Under this government, Mr. Speaker, it moved from 13 in 2015, Mr. Speaker, to 40.
Honorable members.
To 48 in 2007. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't stop there, you know. It doesn't stop there, Mr. Speaker. In 2018, Mr. Speaker, it was 42 new vehicles. And in 2019, Mr. Speaker, we issued 62 farmers bought new vehicles. What is that saying, Mr. Speaker? What is that saying? It's not saying that the farmers are doing better and they're investing because they have the confidence under the leadership of this Prime Minister and this government, Mr. Speaker. That is an indication of the farmers are doing better, Mr. Speaker. That is what is happening, Mr. Speaker. So Mr. Speaker, when I'm hearing about legacy, you want to talk about legacy? You want to talk about legacy, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, oh, now on the page. Mr. Speaker, let me speak about COVID. Let's speak about COVID, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, under COVID, we have gotten resources to assist our farmers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are looking at supporting farmers in 8 major areas. 8 major areas, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, you have 5 minutes in which to complete.
Mr. Speaker, I got on all this interruption. Mr. Speaker, we are going to support farmers under fisheries and aquaculture. We're going to support farmers under livestock, Mr. Speaker. We're going to support farmers under COVID, post-COVID, Mr. Speaker, under crop production, under apiculture, under banana production, under land preparation, and of course, market access, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at a glance, under fisheries and aquaculture, we have allocated over $600,000 to support our farmers. Under the livestock program, we have allocated over $900,000, and I'm using wrong figures, Mr. Speaker, to support our farmers. Under crop production, Mr. Speaker, we have $1.355 million, Mr. Speaker, to support our farmers. Under land preparation, Mr. Speaker, we have $1.08 million to support our farmers. Under agro-processing, Mr. Speaker, because we are taking care of our agro-processors. We think they do a very good job, and I met with them. They have formed themselves into an organization, Mr. Speaker, and we have given a commitment to help them. We have allocated $80,000 to support our agro-processing business, Mr. Speaker. On the banana production, $2.8 million, and the market access, $500,000. So a total of $7.235 million, Mr. Speaker, has been received to support our farmers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me go quickly on the bananas, because they seem to be interested in bananas, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have come to this honorable house. Mr. Speaker, and in June 2019, I made a statement. I did not reading, or did not listening, or they plain to forget. I spoke about the banana sector in St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. I said what we have been able to accomplish, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he spoke about George Charles, Mr. Speaker, and he come in this honorable house and boast about George Charles, during the time of George Charles records. A historian. Speak about the current, Mr. Speaker. Speak about what you have accomplished. Let me tell you what we have accomplished under the leadership of Mr. Honor Alan Shansday with banners, Mr. Speaker. We have moved, Mr. Speaker. I spoke about it. We moved when we came in. When we came in, Mr. Speaker, we moved from 1,100 acres to 2,600 acres, Mr. Speaker. That's our record. That's my legacy. From 1,100 acres to 2,600 acres, Mr. Speaker. We moved from 230 farmers, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, honorable member.
What, that letter have you going, boy?
Continue, good sir.
That letter have you going? Mr. Speaker, we moved from 230 farmers to 643 farmers, Mr. Speaker. That is our legacy. That is our legacy, Mr. Speaker. We moved from 195 farmers exporting bananas to France to the UK. We moved from 195 farmers.
Honorable man.
I'm saying it again.
Honorable members. Honorable members.
I'm saying it again.
Honorable members.
Be quiet. I'm saying it again. All right? We moved from 195 farmers selling bananas to the UK market, Mr. Speaker, to 291 farmers to the UK market, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me speak. Mr. Speaker, in June, Mr. Speaker, 2019, I gave a report about the French market. And I'm going to quote what I said in June 2019, Mr. Speaker. I've said it. And it's a document of the House. I said it. And I'm going to quote, Mr. Speaker. French market. UGBAN continued to express interest in purchasing St. Lucia bananas and agreed on a trial shipment of 1,000 boxes for the first 3 weeks, Mr. Speaker. That's what I reported in the House. UGBAN agreed on a trial shipment the first 3 weeks of 1,000 boxes. And they said if the trial shipment proves successful, they will commit to 3,000 boxes weekly, Mr. Speaker. I continue to say, Mr. Speaker, that these boxes, these 1,000 boxes, were supposed to contain 22 clusters, 6 fingers in bags. All right? So, Simon, 22 clusters in a box, and each cluster will have 6 fingers. That's what the market requires, Mr. Speaker. We were able, I'm going to quote Mr. Speaker, we were able to get the 1,000 boxes, but we were not able to get all the 1,000 boxes with 22 clusters in a box, Mr. Speaker. So what was told to us was that by our company in the UK, that's Windfresh, puts all the 18 clusters one side, the 20 clusters one side, and the 22 clusters in the box, and put it in the container. When the shipment left, and because I'm hoping that you understand that, when the bananas leave St. Lucia, it takes 5 weeks to reach the UK. Our counterpart in the UK contacted the French company, and they said they were not interested because what they wanted from us is 22 clusters. So when you talk about, I have reported that in this honorable house. So when you make a big fuss about what the banners, we have reported that in this honorable house. You know? So, Mr. Speaker, I also said that we're going to continue negotiating with the company and see what other options are there. And we are still optimistic, Mr. Speaker, that we are going to be able to accomplish that objective, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that we are confident that we'll be able to accomplish this, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have so much to say. I have 7 crops, I have Wasco, I have this. But anyway, Mr. Speaker, I'll do it at some other time. Mr. Speaker, in closing, because I don't have time, I want to express on behalf of the farmers of St. Lucia, on behalf of the farmers of St. Lucia, especially our banana farmers, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I have not heard them ask where the farmers' money, because they are aware. They are aware, Mr. Speaker, we have paid the farmers. Why we don't have an obligation to do it? But this Minister of Finance, Mr. Speaker, understanding the plight of our farmers, took the initiative to say, look, Mr. Minister, we're going to pay the banana farmers the outstanding money, and we have paid them $2.4 million. Mr. Speaker. We have paid the banana farmers $2.4 million because it is not our responsibility. You know why, Mr. Speaker? The banana industry is privatized. Kim ki privatized? Yo. Coupe par coupe, yo ki privatized, Mr. Speaker. But despite the fact, this Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, using his judgment, understanding, appreciating, Mr. Speaker, the negative impact in the delay of the payments from Windfresh, have advanced our banana farmers $2.4 million payments, Mr. Speaker. The banana farmers are happy. And of course, Mr. Speaker, we have mandated the board. The board has mandated the management to be current in the payments of our banana farmers, Mr. Speaker. Just, Mr. Speaker, so moving forward, Windfresh is under restructuring. Windfresh is in administration, Mr. Speaker, and we know that the new management will do what's necessary to make sure that we can continue to market our bananas in the UK market, along with the plans that this Honourable Cabinet has, Mr. Speaker, and of course the Prime Minister in promoting our bananas in the UK and in France, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that we need to restructure Windfresh. And we are restructuring Windfresh, Mr. Speaker. We are restructuring Windfresh. And from a shareholder point of view, we have felt the need to look at the management structure and to change the management structure, Mr. Speaker. And that's what we are doing. Because we believe there's a need for it. So I have the fullest confidence in that decision, Mr. Speaker. Will bear fruit, and of course we'll see the continuation of the farmers being satisfied as far as being able to market the bananas. Mr. Speaker, in closing, I want to express to the Honourable Prime Minister, when you look at the legacies between the two, Mr. Speaker, when you come here and speak, can us come here and speak about what he has accomplished after 15 years in government and 10 years in opposition in his constituency. And if you cannot come here, Mr. Speaker, and speak to what you have done to transform your constituents, you think the people of St. Lucia have confidence in you to be Prime Minister? No record in Castries East. Nothing has been accomplished in Castries East. Nothing substantial has been accomplished in Castries East. But the time of reckoning is coming, Mr. Speaker. The time of reckoning is coming. I want to compliment the Honourable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, for giving support to agriculture. His heart and soul is in agriculture. I worked with him when he was Minister of Tourism, and I can say here, and I've said it before, he demonstrated to me as Minister of Tourism, he understood, Mr. Speaker, the impact of agriculture and tourism. When we talk about, forget about tourism and concentrate on agriculture, we cannot, in this country, Mr. Speaker, forget about tourism. Tourism is important, very important, for the development of agriculture in this country, Mr. Speaker. And we have to give tourism what it's not tourism or agriculture, it's tourism and agriculture, Mr. Speaker. That's what it is. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to compliment and express my appreciation to all my cabinet colleagues, Mr. Speaker. And of course, that will not permit all my leaders in the Ministry of Agriculture, the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries, Cooperative, Forestry. Mr. Speaker, I want to express my appreciation to them. And of course, we have work to do. We shall continue the journey, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure that the farmers out there are feeling better off. When you look at the records are showing that we are delivering. The limited resources that we are getting, we are delivering. Of course we want more, but we understand that we can't get all what we want. So despite that we can't get all what we want, we are still pushing, and I can say that I have a team working with, under the leadership of Honorable Alan Shasley, Mr. Speaker, giving the support to this ministry, and I am sure this financial year will be able to accomplish much more and impact the rural communities of St. Lucia. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for your patience, and I thank you very much, members of the